All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Card Talk. I'm Ryan, joined as always by Tyler and Lou. And today is going to be an episode for the ages. I can already feel it. Lou and I have had some varying opinions off the air. Ty's coming in. He's all over the place. It's going to be a full episode today. Lots to talk about. Lots has happened. A lot of stuff has happened in the card world in the last 10 days or so. So plenty to talk about. But Lou, we got to start with the take I just made off the air because you were dumbfounded by it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so we're making that bet, right? That's what we're doing.
Well, you guys have.
I'm definitely willing to.
Okay, so the bet is no, it has nothing to do with you. Relax. So the bet is that Zach Wilson will not finish in the top 3 offensive rookie of the year voting. So you are saying that Zach Wilson will not finish in the top 3, which is essentially what you're saying is that Trevor, Trey Lance, and Justin Fields will finish ahead of him, right? Or some wide receiver.
Or Najee Harris.
Or running back. Okay, great. So that's the bet. I placed a wager at plus 750 Zach Wilson to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, and that's what spurred this conversation. So that's a mistake. So what are we betting?
What's the wager?
What if we healthy card on it?
Yeah, no, I'm thinking.
What about Team Lou versus Team Ryan shirts?
We could do
that.
I
like that.
I always like to do. I love to do that, or I like to do, like the player's rookie card.
Oh, okay, yeah, in on that too.
I think PSA 10 rookie card of the player is the move.
From Prism?
Which could be trouble for you because if he's offensive rookie of the year, it's going to be an expensive card.
I like this.
Especially because if PSA is not back at the time.
You're going to be in trouble.
I mean, it's $1,000 card.
You're in trouble. Let's get it.
Brother, this is not good.
All right, so we're doing the shirt or we're doing the card? Your call.
We got to think about that. That could be $1,000 card.
Let's talk about it.
I hate the Jets. If I lose a Zach Wilson, $1,000 Zach Wilson, and I have to wear a Lou shirt, or just the fact that he wins rookie there means they're good, that would be tough.
Tough scene for you, right? How's it feel to go into a season and the Patriots are like mid-table mediocre?
Patriots are going to have more wins than the Jets.
Okay, and the Jets are mid-table and mediocre.
You got mad at me for you were like they're gonna have 7 wins and you were laughing at me like okay, great.
There's no way.
Great, okay, so the Patriots are gonna have more wins than the Jets. So what does that mean?
I was simply asking you, what is it? How does it make you feel?
Better than the
Jets?
Jets.
Your reign of like being good is over.
Have you watched Mac Jones at all?
What'd you say?
Have you watched Mac at all?
Mm-mm.
Apparently, he looks fairly decent.
Actually, I saw him throw a biscuit, and I was like, "Ooh, that's a nice toss."
Yeah.
Not like
honestly,
I've watched it like famous.
I've watched more Jets preseason because it's
over that one.
What time?
Famous Jameis slinging the biscuit last night.
Yeah, but like in the same breath, right? I think last week you were like, "Hey, it's only preseason. Dwayne Haskins is not very good," right? When Dwayne Haskins looks amazing. Now Jameis does the same thing in preseason, and it's all of a sudden like,
Dwayne Haskins is literally really bad.
Brother, he had 3 straight drives that led to touchdowns.
He's bad.
That's what all I'm asking, though, is what difference does Jameis make versus Haskins if it's both like preseason?
Like you could just feel the energy around famous coming into New Orleans.
So it's the energy you felt.
Yeah, intangibles. Okay. That's how I do my thing.
That's what we're using to measure.
Yeah, that's how I do my thing. Haskins, never going to make it.
Noted. Okay. All right. So famous Jameis is Tyler's pick for MVP this year, right? It was Tannehill last year. It's famous Jameis this year.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty much. I mean, Tannehill was you can't debate Tannehill being a great pick.
No, that was a terrible pick.
No, it wasn't.
Well, I mean, it worked out, right? So it's hard to say it was a terrible pick.
Derrick Henry was more of an MVP than Ryan Tannehill.
I don't think that's true. I think he got less. I think Ryan Tannehill got more votes than him.
Right.
Did he?
No. This is a weird conversation to be having in hindsight when it's right in front of our face.
NFL MVP votes. We're going to look this.
We don't have time for this.
Are we doing what's on your mind? Can we bring it back?
This is what's on our mind.
Okay, this is what's on our mind.
And I love how naming every quarterback last week got me 26 things on my mind.
We have Matt Bogart in charge of the show today, and he's so annoyed.
Matt, we apologize. Ryan, you did name 26 quarterbacks last week. Can we tighten it up here and talk about the week that was?
We'll get back to everybody on the Zach Wilson bet with Lou. But
Can you just tighten the bet up and close the bet and we move forward?
We closed the bet. We haven't decided what we're doing yet. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Stop distracting him.
It's a wager.
It's a
wager. All right, so Ty, that was what was on my mind. I guess I'll take credit for that. Tyler, what's on your mind?
That was what's on your mind about Zach Wilson? But what happens if one of them comes out, they have a torn Achilles tomorrow? Then
of course, injuries.
With the wagers on.
Injuries void bets.
I just want to be very, very clear here. First in MVP voting was Rodgers. Second was Mahomes. Third was Allen. And fourth was Derrick Henry. Fifth was Tom Brady, Watson, Devontae Adams, Lamar Jackson.
Hey, you're
Offensive Player of the Year was also Derrick Henry. Ryan Tannehill's not anywhere on this list.
Okay,
Fake
great
news. Ryan Tannehill was a great MVP.
I'll throw a hand up and say I was wrong if we can move on. Thank you.
That was Lou that dropped that stat. But what's on my mind is the thing that was on my mind the most. eBay. Remember that eBay graphic we just put out like a week or two ago about the numbers of growth of cards compared to the news in the last week? Panini, Fanatics. So three licenses: baseball, football, basketball, leaving the two major companies, Topps, Panini, going to new company. That's what we know. That is supposed to be run by Josh Luber, which is a subsidiary of Fanatics, which has massive, operational overhead and logistics systems and is big business. When I think about that and people being like, oh, the licenses, exclusivity, all that. And then I think about our show and I think about that eBay graphic and I think about NetPro and I think about Marvel and I think about Harry Potter and I think about F1 and I think about Premier League soccer and I think about all the leagues. And I think about a lot of the negativity that I've seen around these licenses going to this company about the old way it's done. And then I think about the eBay graphic and I think about the explosion in what is not those, and people saying, someone said to me, I wish the licenses weren't exclusive, and I responded, they've been exclusive forever, meaning like whatever, 50 years or 60 years or something. It's like forever to you. And I'm like, cool. There's a lot more to this hobby than basketball, football, and baseball. And Topps and Panini are still businesses. And everyone's like, this change, freaking out about this change. Well, if this change didn't happen, guess what? Panini was going public via SPAC with A-Rod, and Topps was going public via SPAC with the former head of Disney. So, like, it was happening anyway. This crew just pulled it off. So what I'm trying to say is, like, yes, it's a lot of change, but at the same time, this change has been happening. These moments, the shoe drops and everyone freaks out. I feel very confident in the crew. First and foremost, Ruben, his ability to tap into culture and be an unreal businessman. The guy goes to white dress-up parties with Jay-Z, Bieber, Kid Leroy, all of them, and you don't want him being the guy that just bought that owns those licenses for the health of the hobby? And then you got Luber, who pretty much turned the sneaker world on its head for the good of the consumer, I would say, with StockX, and is a huge, massive collector and has real inventory. I don't think he wants to see this thing die. So that's my take. I'm pumped about it. But what I say is, me personally, across baseball, basketball, and football, is like 10% of my collection. So Panini still has the Premier League license. I'm still going to be copping Prism and Mosaic and Chronicle. Like,
yeah, but I also like
a general overreaction to what's happening.
I don't think that's okay. I don't think that's fair at all.
Let's remove this from the situation. We would have had a vote this week on the SPAC with Eisner and Topps, Mudrick Capital, would have changed their entire business. And Panini going with A-Rod and his SPAC, who they are an owner of an MLB of an NBA team now, would have, and Lori, who was the head of e-commerce at Walmart, it's the same thing. It's the same exact stuff would have happened. So that's what I would like everyone to think a little bit about.
Right.
Same stuff would have happened, Tyler. In what way? What would have happened?
They were all looking to accomplish the same thing. Roll up the value of these licenses and extrapolate them, because the way that these companies, Topps and Panini, have been doing business is like it was the 1990s, not 2020.
I would also say I think no matter what, the PAs and leagues would have gotten a cut into the card stuff.
It's too valuable. That's what all the PAs businesses now are around getting these equity rights for their players.
Yeah.
Players don't want to just get compensated a dollar amount for whatever it is.
I wouldn't say it's an overreaction. I think it's people aren't understanding that either way, a lot of the same things were going to happen.
That's a fair way to put it.
I agree with that. Like, that was my big thing, is like overreaction. This is the biggest news I've ever in sports cards since I've been in it. This is
there wasn't the same reaction. There was not the same reaction when the former head of Disney was taking one of them, and A-Rod and Lori and them were taking the other one.
That's true. That's correct.
Yeah, maybe I just didn't understand the implications of what that would have been enough, because it was not finalized at the time. Maybe I didn't understand what would have come of that. But yeah, but Todd, I know we're going to talk about it later. I know we've talked about it last week on live. Are you not somewhat, again, because I think you're in the minority in terms of like, hey, baseball, basketball, football is 10% of my collection. That's definitely the minority in sports cards. Mm-hmm. Baseball, basketball, and football are the major sports in the United States for sports cards. That's how it's going to be for some time, I believe. Are you not concerned that one company producing all of those cards is not, I mean, that's a monopoly. Are you not concerned that has negative implications on the sports card market?
I don't have concerns, because I don't know what would change. Like, what do you think is done differently? Like, what is the fear? I'd like to hear that part.
Yeah, I mean, very similar fears to what you've got now, right? Quality control, mass production, right? A lot of those same things, right? Because you have nobody else to produce NFL license trading cards, nobody to produce, NBA or MLB.
But is it possible right now? Like
a 1,000,000%, right? That's a fair argument, right? If somebody could say, hey, they're printing a lot of it now, there's no competition, so quality control isn't as high as it should be. I don't disagree, but Fanatics taking it over.
That they're going to print 25,000 of the next Zion because they just did it.
Sure. So, but two wrongs don't make it right? Just because Panini does it doesn't mean Fanatics just magically get a free pass.
Of the unknown is like pointless. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, how about we actually have optimism? Like, no one else. There is a monopoly right now on printing basketball cards.
Sure,
it's happening.
Agreed. I'm not arguing. I'm asking you, like, that has to be somewhat of a concern, right? Because if Fanatics takes in and they just do the exact same thing, it's not going to be any different. It's just going to say Fanatics instead of Panini.
I think in this day and age of business, I think Ruben and Luber are two cats that love the game and see this as a massive opportunity in a burgeoning industry. It's huge already, but I think they see the possibilities of it. And I think their leadership, comparatively to the leadership that is at the companies that have been doing it for 30, 40 years, is going to bring fresh shakeup. I think any worry around monopolies, the licenses are currently exclusive. Look at what we just saw with Zion. Look at how many of those are graded by PSA 10. Is that what you're afraid of?
Sure. No, fair point.
And then it's not lost on me. Like, I'm speaking to you who has a really good local card shop. And I think that there is general fear around what the ability that this new company has comparatively to Topps and Panini in terms of going direct to consumer. What I would say is this: you put out a ton of content. You have a big brand. We went to national. We saw what happens. Many local bookstores around this country got decimated by Amazon. There's also many of them that are better than ever because they understand content and people still want community and go to their spot. And I believe that you and the ones that are able to understand that it's a destination and an experience and understand content to drive consumers to the location can still dominate. And I believe that these companies are going to want that. But gone are the days of just because you're the only shop in 10 miles, you're going to get business. And that's how this hobby's been run. You go to these shows and people just show up with nothing other than a baseball card from 1972 and act like the same people are still going to be interested in it. It's not happening.
I love it. Interesting.
I think we should spend like the majority of the show on this exact conversation because I think it's important. I just want to say two things. One, I am naturally extremely skeptical of things like this, like extremely, because what Ryan's saying is true. Like, if I understand that they were not that things were exclusive before, and all that, I actually fully agree with that. Topps was in monopoly on baseball cards for the longest time, right? I can easily see how people are worried about a company like Fanatics controlling the entire situation because, like you're saying, like bookstores got killed by Amazon. Like, there's at least a significant part of me that's like part of the reason I like card is that it's like a small town thing, and like you go to your hobby shop and you go buy cards and all that stuff, and all that's like a part of it. So I would hope that Josh and Ruben understand all that stuff, and Fanatics understands that stuff in general and tries to keep that rather than changing it to like you go to Modell's and that's where you get your Prism now. So there's a piece of it like that. The other side of it is I am choosing optimism, and I am choosing that like Josh knows what he's talking about, knows what he's doing, and we'll do it right. That's my only 2 points.
Yeah, and again, Tyler, I think it's probably fair because you've mentioned before that you guys have had relationships through the company with Josh, right? I don't know anything about him. I've never met him. Like, I don't follow him, right? So I might not have that same optimism, right? Like, I'm with Lou on this.
Fair.
Right?
I realize I like am very like passionate on one side of it, and it's going to elicit others that are like, go F yourself. And it's nice for you to say you're like Gary's boy. I get all that. That's not lost on me. I'm very much like going one direction with this.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be, but again, right. There's a lot that's going to play out with this. This isn't happening tomorrow. Right. And no different that when PSA shut down, like that was, we remember this, like when PSA shut down, it was the biggest news we had in a long time. We're like, hey, this company just sold for nearly $1 billion and shut down. Like, that's major, right? That tells you like their focus on the future, catching up, right? It was major news, but it didn't mean sports cards went away. And that's, sports cards aren't going away here. There's a lot of time to figure a lot of this out. There's going to be a lot more that happens in the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years when some of these licenses expire. I think Panini's is 2026 on NBA. There's going to be a lot that's going to happen over that time that is really, this could be a completely different conversation 3 years from now once some more of this really unravels and gets closer to fruition. And
I also wanted to make a quick point that, like we were saying, Fanatics could just buy Topps and then Bowman and Topps stays. I'm using Topps as the example, but like those stay the same. And the other thing is there's going to be a talent migration. So like all the people who work at these companies are going to end up just working for Fanatics. But like they're not going to start. They're not going to start fresh and have completely new people who have no idea how cards works. Everyone who works at Topps on baseball is just going to work for Fanatics. Everyone who works at Panini on basketball is just going to work for Fanatics. It's the same thing.
I also think individuals that look like Ryan, that look like Sasha, that look like the top people in all of them are going to be getting good job offers from these companies.
100%.
Like, let's take a step back. I believe there's someone that right now is sitting there thinking of this whole thing as negative that is going to end up working at one of these companies and building a product that matters for the hobby.
Yeah.
And is going to sit there and say, oh my goodness, this is actually the coolest thing. I believe that is going to occur. One, because I'm talking to someone that hit me up that said I have a big offer from one of the companies that's doing their thing right now. I mean, if you think about Rally, Collectible, Bibs, all down the line, like think about all these companies, all the money that's come into it. Like eBay just freshened up with the their whole like portfolio management and stats. Like this train is on a track going in a direction, and it's been death by 1,000 cuts across talking to this podcast and the little things happening. NetPro literally like announced their new set. Like people want, what's his name, Cespedes and Jordan, like all these people, like tennis cards are going to be hot.
Anemone.
Yeah, Cespedes. So, yeah.
I was gonna say, I have a question, right? Completely different from, shifting topics on this same subject, right? So I'm in it, right? So I'm going to try to ask you guys your opinion because I think you guys are a little bit more unbiased than I am on this. I realize, Charlie, you're more pro Luber, pro Fanatics on this because of your experience there and your optimism. But do you think, again, we don't know, right, if this is how it's going to play out, but do you worry direct to consumer has a negative impact on the card market? And so Lou, one of the things that comes to my mind is think about the I don't know. I just wonder if all breakers go away and all 95% of card shop, right? If Topps, like you said, takes it to Modell's and they put trading cards in all their Fanatics stores, right? Does that have a negative impact with the money that stays in cards, right? Because I think of it think of the amount of repacks or premium products that breakers do and the money they keep in the cards.
Can I ask you two questions?
Sure.
Number one, why would breakers go away because of direct to consumer?
Well, because if just think of it like when Panini right now does Dutch auction or online sales.
Yep.
If that was Fanatics' move, right? They put retail in their retail stores and they put online direct to consumer, right? And
Do you think that there's enough demand? You know this. I'm going to put it to you.
Sure.
Buying channels for cards.
What's a buying channel?
Meaning, okay, the channels that people are buying. They go to Ryan's shop. They go to eBay for singles or packs. They go to Blowout or whatever the Steel City one is. They go to Fanatics currently for their exclusive drops. They go to Panini Direct. They go to shows. Do we feel that Fanatics as a business would simply say there's enough demand for only direct consumer to distribute our products to get maximum value out of the license?
Yeah, so I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm asking, is that a concern for
that's what I just
I don't understand why it's a concern.
What I'm trying to say is, as a consumer, I get the fears, but we also need to, as a business operator, put our they want to make money off of getting this license.
Sure.
They could fail. It's happened. A lot of big companies have acquired very big licenses for multi-$100 million, billions of dollars, and drove them to the ground and made them trash and then flipped them on the back end. Could happen.
Happens fairly often, by the way.
Very possible. People get rights to CBS just gave up the Champions League, or they acquired them for free, I think, from Fox or something. Because we don't even know what to do with this. Here, take it. Year early. What I'm trying to say is, as a business, I don't think they're going to just up and say, the only place you can buy is from fanatics.com. They won't sell as many cards.
Or they will, and it won't matter. But my question is, I can't figure out how direct to consumers are concerned for breakers.
Because the margins aren't there. The people that are breaking have the ability outside of others. You're saying
because they don't have wholesale pricing.
Yeah.
I understand.
Right. If you only make it direct to consumer, it seems like the only person that wins is somebody with a bot.
I believe based on Amazon just announced they're doing stores. It's just one man's point of view. I believe that they're going to look at the entire landscape and say, how can we increase value to all that are in it? Meaning they're going to want to work directly with you. And I know that you have currently worked directly with companies, and I don't know what that relationship is. To my understanding, those are great. And Topps and Panini both have great representatives, and there's certain accounts that work well. But I also know there's dudes in Florida living at their mom's crib that are getting backdoored 25 hobby boxes because they had an account in 2003, and they're just flipping it onto the market. And I think that the people have complained about the same stuff. And I think that there's going to be stuff cleaned up and people are going to take an L from it. And there's going to be other instances like yourself that's built a big moat around his entire thing since we started the show. Look at your Instagram, look at your YouTube. That's where the world's going. And I believe that there's going to be ones that win from this and others that lose from it because they haven't seen the ability to innovate and are still just filling out their order sheet with whoever from the distributor, and they don't even have a card business. They just flip it onto the market.
Yeah, I think you're that's the guy who gets it backdoored is the same. It's just the other end of the new thing where someone doesn't get a wholesale account, right? So net,
or people have wholesale accounts that literally have nothing to do with cards. They've
Yeah, but
had
that's
it
just
forever.
what I'm saying is that's the other end of what we're talking about. So like ideally it all comes out in the wash and it becomes more accessible for everyone. And so Rye, I would then say like, yeah, like it might be a little bit tougher if let's say they don't have wholesale accounts. I can't imagine they don't have like Fanatics has wholesale deals, right? Like that's a thing. So I would think that they do, right? But anyway, so even if they don't, like net, like I would say like, yeah, the bots are going to get an advantage. There's also going to be people who would not be able to get a box before now or have more opportunities they can just sign on and get it rather than trying to go into Target.
So
Rye,
Yeah.
where's your head at? I'd like to hear more from you. I've realized I'm like being all passionate and talking one side of things. I want to give your voice much more of a space in this convo right now of how you're thinking about things. Have you started to make adjustments? I don't want to put you on the spot. Are you comfortable?
Yeah,
I'd imagine
no.
maybe you've had conversations with certain like people at the companies that you've worked with for quite some time. I also realize that's like there's emotions to it all, and I think about like our boy Tracy, like all these different people. I also believe that if they are thinking optimistic and offensive, there's still massive amounts of room for them to do good stuff in this hobby. But I'd love to just hear from where you're at.
Yeah, no, I have had no conversations with anyone in the hobby about it other than the, people our team and you guys, right? We haven't had any conversations. I haven't reached out anywhere. I think the big thing is there's a long time until this happens, right? That's what I keep going back to. It doesn't happen tomorrow. So, the focus is still on the same thing, right? Produce valuable content and still, expand the brand, do the things I'm already doing. I think that's important, right? We've worked on that for quite some time. I think that is still always going to be the goal, right? Is to, build one of the more recognizable sports card brands. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I've been trying to do for a long time. So I haven't really, right. I would be lying to you if I said, hey, this is like super, super exciting, right? Like we have a good thing going. I've worked hard to build the allocations we've got, the relationships we've got, right? Why on earth would I want to sit here and be like, can't wait to sign up for this. I'm ready to sign up for tomorrow. Take it all away and let's see what happens. No, that would be silly. I would be lying. Again, if you've been in the hobby for a while, you know what the allocation is. That's a valuable asset, right? It allows us to do a lot of things we want to do, right? Breaks, employ a lot of people. Like there's a lot of good things that come from the allocation. Again, if you're in the hobby, you know what it is and what it means. So yeah, I'm not naive to the fact that like it's not what I'm like running to sign up for.
Let me ask you a question real quick on that. I just love your take on it. Based on the amount of work you've done, at least since I've known you in the last 2 years, the growth that you've had, where you've gotten your brand, your business to in the hobby. And I know you're a very humble individual. And based on how allocations are currently distributed, I would make a case that you actually have leverage to get more of an allocation than you currently have, comparatively to others that have some. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard, right? Like, I don't know. I'm not looking like it sounds crazy. I don't want it to be like, hey, Ryan built this massive social following. Here's an extra 15 cases. I just like, I don't want to be handed anything, right? I built it.
But
like,
you're not handed it. Like if you put your mind in, if you put your head in the mind of the business, it's best for them to be giving that to you because you are a marketing channel, a massive marketing channel for these companies.
Yeah, it's
Panini,
a different way
Topps,
of thinking.
Any product, when you have that break on Friday, you have demand.
Yeah, it's a different way of thinking.
It is.
It's a different way of thinking. And then I would also say like, and this is no disrespect to Ryan because he's done the right thing. And I'm going to say something on the back end that compliments Ryan. It's not just about Ryan who has 70,000 followers on Instagram. It's about the guy who has 0 followers on Instagram. What's going to happen to that guy is interesting. And then what I'm going to say on the back end of that is like what Ryan has done was the right thing. You just build a good business. You're a good person. People love you. People want to hang out with you, all that stuff. people should continue to do that. And like the meme at card shows is like there's cameras everywhere and blah blah blah. And like it doesn't necessarily need to be that you're vlogging and that's how you build up your social following. Like just be a good shop, like run good breaks. Yeah, that's gonna help you.
But that's what concerns me, right? Is like Tyler's point is like, hey, they know who Ryan is, they know who Sasha is, they know who these people are. There are good people out there that run good shops that aren't, that have been around for 40 years,
but
right?
This is America. There's places that had amazing hamburger shops in town, and then McDonald's came in, and there's places that have amazing ice cream places. And then
that's why I opened a small business, because I support
Learning Express
business.
Was my toy store that I bought Legos at my whole life.
Yeah, I look at it I look at it very differently, right? That's why I opened small business. I enjoy small business. I want like Lou said, right? Small town. But
you're like a top 1% innovative small business in this country.
But he's saying it's not about that part.
It's not about
that. But you're doing it naturally. It is about that. You're doing it because you understand it's healthy for your business. You're not resting on the laurels of just opening a business. If you didn't believe that putting out the amount of content you did was like productive for your business, you wouldn't do it.
That's true.
But I also enjoy it, right? I don't know.
Then you win-win. That's why you're good at it.
Yeah, Ty, I would say never mind.
Yeah, it's just like, again, and I know it's a competition thing, but it's like there are good people out there that have awesome card stores that you wouldn't know about on Instagram or social because they just don't do it. But
those dying isn't good.
Yeah, it's just like I'm not like, hey, let's kill those guys off just because they didn't build a social media.
Is the market. I'm also not like they should just be existing because they have a shop. Yeah. That's incredibly not America.
And I look at it, those people are also like, again, I just go back to like the giving back to the community. There's just a lot more to it than like, hey, they've been there for 40 years, they're getting an allocation. Like they're not like, I mean, there are people out there that
there's
are
a lot of
like
assumptions.
That.
There's equal amount of assumptions that they will get allocation to that they won't.
Yep.
Fair. Yep.
But I think we both agree that it's leaning in one direction.
I have no idea. Me
either.
But I do think Ryan and or others, Burbank, that have built a brand, that have media around them, are in a better position long-term to go forward than others that don't.
That's correct.
And I think that if you look across all industries, those that have a relationship with their consumer and have a community, those are the companies that are winning across every industry.
Yeah. Again, this is what I love about the show, right? Is Tyler, Lou, and I all have very, very differing opinions, and like we just don't always agree on it. I think that's what makes it interesting, right? I don't know Josh. I've never worked with anyone on their team. Tyler's had, and Lou's like, hey, I've worked with them, but I like Ryan. I like the small town shop. I like the small feel, and I'm like, yeah, it's interesting.
I do too. Like I really do too.
I'm not saying
I don't
want
to come across like I don't. Like I'm a big
Tyler hates
local shop guy.
Yeah.
Like get me to like a pop up.
Tyler's wine
house
shop.
Plant.
His family's wine shop. He hates it.
Yeah.
Tyler's
even
big business.
All right, let's get into play of the week. We've got play of the week lined up here.
Play the flash in the panty.
A little flash in the panty, but before we get started, play of the week is brought to you by eBay, your number one stop for all things cards and collectibles.
I have been asking for a flash in the panty segment where we all give our flash in the panty of the week, but it's just clearly not happening. I just want to put it out there.
Flash in the pan.
Quick take, Ty. Who's your flash in the pan?
Who's my flash in the panty this week?
Yes.
Let's think. Cross sports. My flash in the panty. My flash in the panty. Oh, right now.
Wow.
My flash in the panty in sports. Like I see. Oh, Tony's a good one.
No, he can't
be. Well, he can't be because he's the one. I just keep thinking of like I want to call flash in the panty.
Think about it.
I hope to eat my words on this. Oh, Jack Grealish. He's my flash in the panty. Jack Grealish from Manchester City.
In the panty?
He just signed the biggest contract transfer fee ever. He transferred from Aston Villa to Manchester City.
Big news story, huh? Right? Everyone knows about that.
Well, if you pay attention to
I didn't know the dollar amount, but I knew where he was and where he plays now.
See, because he is in the business. He's in the hobby.
Just a little bit, though. And the only reason I knew that is because I got a color blast at the National of him.
You did. I remember that. Jack Grealish, flash in the panty.
Interesting.
All right, so Jay, Again, if you guys are new here, this is where Jason, the producer, fields plays from you, the listener. He'll take them all via DM on Instagram or Twitter. It's at Card Talk Pod. Then he shows Tyler, Lou, and I live on the show. This is the first time Lou, Tyler, and I have seen them. We'll go through them, dissect them, and then we'll pick a winner at the very end. So, Jay, let's bring up the first one. All right, so this is from cardboard_chasers on IG. It says, Blow is my play of the week submission. I bought a 2017 Select Field Level Brady in the beginning of the year at a local show for $15 and sort of forgot about it. I recently did my first group sub for SGC and submitted it. I got a 10 on it. All in with grading, I was in for $40. I sold it for $123 shipped. After fees and shipping, I netted $103.52, which is $63.52 profit. Not huge numbers, but I sold it for 2.5 times what I had in it. Wasn't a big believer in SGC, but these are the cards that they make sense for. I will continue to use them due to quick turnaround times and prices, which make way too much sense.
My first thought as soon as I saw this pop on the screen was like, I didn't respect Brady collectors and like how crazy his market is. He's one of the few guys who has any card that he comes out with, people will buy it. There's like 5 guys like that.
Brady, Curry, LeBron, Jordan.
4.
Those are the 4. Like you could make. I mean, Kobe doesn't have cards anymore. Kobe's probably up there. He's probably the
Kobe's
5th.
Up there.
But yeah, those are the guys that like anything. Anything. Base cards sell. Anything.
Yeah. Especially if it's a 10.
Ty.
I respect the play. Wasn't a big believer in SGC. Like we're seeing SGC plays a lot.
Yeah,
in here.
I hand up on that one. They are doing an amazing job.
That has been my whole argument from the start, right? I was an advocate for SGC early, right? I didn't say SGC is PSA. They're not. I still believe that the Prism Gold Justin Herbert makes sense at PSA, right? But I always said not everybody wants to drive a Ferrari. There are plays that make sense. People still want graded cards, and you can't afford to spend $200+ on PSA on every single card, right?
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lower tier market that evolves, and SGC has been around the longest. I'm like I said, not everything makes sense. I think you need to do your research, but on average, I think it makes sense for a lot of things.
I think my take was more geared towards I didn't anticipate PSA being shut down for as long as they have been from a value, from like a
$25, $30 option,
a cheaper sub option. So
yeah, like the play. Jay,
I'm sitting here thinking about SGC and HGA and all the jokes we've made about grading and
VHS grading and graded video games. And I just think that the Fanatics, which it's going to be a totally different name of a company, like stuff's been changing a lot. It costs $250 to grade a card at PSA. If I told you that 18 months ago, 24 months ago, it would have been like, what?
We just said in every card we had.
Correct.
You just said in
so
everything.
Here we are. Let's have some faith that the hobby is big enough, strong enough to sustain through changes.
All right, this is from Lubaka_cards.
Ooh, Lubaka.
It says my play for play of the week. Saw this card a couple days before the auction ended and noticed it ended in the middle of the day on July 4th. Interesting time.
Nice.
I love the foresight on this already. He says, thought it might be a sneaky play as no one was going to be scanning eBay on a holiday. So by the way. So I shot the seller an offer for $1,300.
Can we pause for 1 second? We do this ourselves. No one's checking eBay right now.
Yeah, everyone is like, no one's checking right now as everyone's on bidding.
Like every single human's at a barbecue on the 4th of fucking July. Like, no. There's people on eBay at every time of the day.
All right, so he says he shot the seller an offer of $1,300 30 minutes before it ended, even though the starting bid was $1,500. He accepted. After finally getting the card back a couple weeks later from Ship My Cards to not sure I love that. I put it up on eBay and sold a week later for $23.50. Sold $750 profit after eBay fees in only 1 month's time. It's a pop one, so no comps to go off of.
Yep. Okay. I love orange as a random aside. It's not quite purple, but it's just under purple
Great color.
in the prism color.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Or
It's
it's
a great
just
color.
hot.
And this
Orange
has
is
to.
hot.
It is Burrow's team color.
Correct. So it's double hot.
Right. What do you think about Prism Black? I feel like it's kind of weird.
My personal opinion, it's a cool set. It's thrown in Chronicles. I think a lot of products are thrown in Chronicles as a test run. When they sell well and people like them, it just ends up being a full product. That's what I think is going to happen.
I just can't figure out why it's even in like why is Prism Black? Like why?
Testing new markets. I mean, it's different than regular Prism. I think they're good looking cards. I like the black background.
They actually are good looking cards. I just don't get why it exists. It should just be a insert parallel in Prism, I feel like. But anyway.
I think Chronicles is like the coolest thing.
It's a very cool product. I couldn't agree more.
I wish it was cheaper.
Just like fun. Just talk about, I think it's the most fun rip.
It's up there.
Yeah,
all things aside, right? Like you get a box of NT and like, yeah, cool.
Yeah, we can do it.
There's a lot of things, right? Like, give me a 2012 Prism, but like I'll have some fun with it.
I think we should do a tier ranking.
But Chronicles just like is a really good product, really good set. Because they do stuff like this. And then maybe it takes off and maybe it doesn't.
Yeah. Okay, back to the play. I think he did good.
I think he did good too. I think the pickup at 1,300, no matter what, is great. Rye it irked him a little bit. Rye's a man of the people. Rye's a man of the country. Rye likes to support America and doesn't like to, skirt taxes.
Sales
I
tax.
get it. I respect it. It's a small business owner. So, but I gotta say, I respect the play. Ed, there's an extra point for my man Lou Baca. His name's Lucas Baca, and his nickname his whole life was definitely Lou Baca instead of Chewbacca. And I respect the OG hobby AVI picture of just LeBron fadeaway.
Did you just say AVI?
Yeah, that's what they were called before they were called PFPs, which came out of nowhere. It doesn't even make sense.
I've never heard of either of those.
It's an AVI.
AVI, AVI, same thing. Different day.
AVI?
Yeah. AVI, Avatar, AVI.
PFP is silly, but AVI
PFP
might be even
silly because you can't take two letters from one word.
I agree. AVI is also
we'll move past it. All right.
All right, Jay, move on. Next one. All right, this is from Rick.
Now we're talking.
Rick's Rips. Here's my play of the week. The last Dallas show, I was working my way through some soccer bulk boxes. Tyler's recommendation, typically. Shout out to Ty on that. It says I came across I don't know who that is, and I cannot read it. Mikkel Damsgaard.
Yep.
Octave Blue Prism out of 49 out of Chronicle Soccer with a $25 price tag. Offered the seller $20 cash and went home immediately. Listed on eBay, starting at $19.99 for a week. I would assume at auction. When grinding the soccer deals, I have 3 rules: watch the games, pay attention to the soccer market, find things nobody else has listed on eBay. All 3 of these things played into my favor here. Damsgaard has a really strong Euro 2020, scoring a stunning free kick. He was immediately the subject of a transfer rumors to big clubs, and nobody has listed cards for weeks. I sold the card for $172.50, and the buyer paid immediately and left positive feedback after receiving it.
It's a good job.
So, is the Danish Delight my guy?
Is that his nickname?
He is now.
Oh, I thought that was like his regular nickname. I got really excited.
It should be his nickname, but because he is the Danish Delight.
Yeah.
Currently plays in Italy. Rick is dialed in. Rick's a Dallas local, Dallas native.
Shout out to the Dallas show, man. I know we've gone there. I don't think you guys are going this weekend. I'm planning to go.
I know. I'm kind of sad.
That's
I'm not.
That's my. I love that show. I'm actually excited to go.
Survived the weekend that was at the East Coast National. I mean, he grinded that one out.
Yeah, that show is not popping. Just so we're clear.
Dallas show's always popping. I feel like we got to get some love. I love that show.
Yeah,
Dallas. Agreed. And Rick's my homie from there. And Damsgaard may land at Liverpool. I like the play, but I didn't see. I sold the card for $172. He picked it up. Offered the seller $20 cash. Immediately listed at starting in 1999. 20 to 1. Yeah, I like it. I like the play.
Yeah,
It's a raw flip.
Finding stuff at the show, going through boxes, knowing what
Another
you're looking
Chronicles
for.
play too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chronicles. Yeah, I love the play.
Banging.
Right,
Rye, what's your thoughts on grading this at SGC? You think it's too quick of a flip?
So I think it has potential to be a play here. It's because he says, if you notice it, he says there's no one's listing anything on eBay, right? So if no one's listing anything on eBay, he clearly has less cards. So if you have less cards, you probably have even less cards. Obviously, a fraction of them are graded. So if it's a potential to get an SGC 10, if it looks really clean, yeah, I think this is definitely a play. Because I think if this guy doesn't have hardly any cards, if this is only his rookie card, this has potential to make some substantial money in a short period of time. But also, I don't know how relevant he's going to be the farther along this goes, right? SGC is taking about 2.5, 3 weeks to get stuff back. Does this card lose its luster the farther we get away from Euro 2020? That I don't know.
Well, the crazy part is there's another one, this exact card, another out of 49 listed. There's 12 hours out that has 0 bids.
One more time, Lou.
This exact card, different number, obviously. This one I'm looking at is an 8 out of 49 instead of 21 out of 49. 12 hours left. There's 0 bids on it.
At what price?
$9.99.
Interesting.
Sounds like sneaky little play potentially, or the demand isn't theirs.
The demand's probably not there, but as of 5 hours ago, he may be going to Liverpool.
Interesting. All right, next one, Jay. All right. Well, this one's all over the place. Steven Pitts. Apologize if I miss which one it is. I'm gonna go with Stephen Pitts.
I like it. You just I mean, Curry's earned that.
Sorry for the long message, but this play has multiple pieces. I traded this Ronaldo Acuna Topps Chrome Purple Auto 9510 at a show for a 2013 Sandy Koufax Game Used Dual Auto Booklet at a 49 and a Steph Curry 2013 Select Auto 959 and received $300 cash as well. Had about $1,200 into the Acuna. He unfortunately tore his ACL the same day I made the trade. Unforeseen and not wanted, but happens. Cash brought me down to $900 invested in the deal. Listed the Koufax on eBay for $2,000 or best offer and got an offer for $1,000. But before I could respond, the buyer just bought it for $2,000.
I love that.
Then I sold the Curry for
an offer and realize it's not going to happen. Just smash bin before they even get to respond.
Then sold the Curry for $1,600 on IG. Used half the proceeds to purchase the attached Ohtani Gold Auto on eBay and Purple Refractor at the National. Expressed both cards to PSA and tenned both. So I profited $1,300 in the first deal and sitting on 2 Ohtani PSA 10s to either flip or hold. End result to be determined, but estimate the 2 remaining cards to bring an additional $3,000 and $3,500 total. That's a lot going on there.
So basically, he took the Acuna and the Curry and turned it into
took the Acuna and turned it into
the Koufax.
Basically being up. He said he sold the Curry, so he was up $1,300 on the entire deal and has the 2 Ohtanis. So he turned the Acuna into $1,300
into like $5,000.
Yeah, I mean, so basically he took $1,600 or $1,200 on the Acuna, turned it into $2,500. So he's up $1,300 and has 2 Ohtanis. I would have liked to see this play move out a little bit more. I would like to see it from start to finish all the way on this, right? Because you can keep going, right? That's the big thing on this. You could, we could keep. There's a lot to dissect here. Obviously, I think this is one of our first trading ones, so I think it's cool to see, the thought process, and I think this shows the potential of if you buy somebody early like Acuna, he gets hot, you trade it, you can make, making trades can definitely do well, but there's a lot in this.
Yeah, he did good, but it's a little confusing.
All right, next one. All right, this is from Harris Decker. You guys featured a Jacob deGrom play of mine a while back, and I've got an even better one, fully visible on eBay. Bought this card in August of 2020, held it for about a year, submitting to SGC in the meantime. Sold it this week for $2,200 on eBay. Holy cow. All verified. SGC sub is about $30, so turned $130 into $2,200. Holy cow.
What's going on?
That's
Like, why is it like all
work.
verified? Like, why? Like, is Jay like really locking it down? It's got to be very serious submission rules.
I respect it. He's not trying
I
to
like
get
it too.
carried again.
Yeah, I
So
get it.
order date, item price, total, sold.
Jay said no more messing around. I tightened it up.
And he graded it SGC 10 of 10.
Yeah, it's a really good job.
All verified.
It's all verified.
Everything
Ryan.
is verified.
Yeah, I mean, heck of. I mean,
It's a really good job.
long time to hold. That's impressive.
It's a year.
It's a year. That's a year.
All right, next one. Is that it, Jay?
It might be it.
That's
yeah,
it.
That's it.
All right.
All right, run back through them again.
This is a good day. I like what happened here. A lot of SGC love. I mean, Nat can't be happy, but it's life.
It is life. All right, Brady.
We started with Brady. We said Brady has collectors. This is a beautiful card. It's a nice
Brady,
flip.
Burrow,
The Danish
delight.
This was a grind. I respect it.
That was a big grind. I think my pick is this one.
Do we have? Is it one winner this week? Mosaic box. Shout out Cherry. I think we got one winner this week.
Cherry Collectibles, one box.
Rye.
Ty, you go first.
Wow, I love Rye being the tiebreaker. Interesting. The DeGrom is so sweet. The DeGrom really is sweet. And these Topps Heritage, that auto set, is that the same set? I could be wrong. It just looks a little bit like the some of the basketball. I feel like there's this sweet 2015 Topps Heritage basketball auto set. This is very nice. This is very nice. There's a nice pickup. People didn't like DeGrom that much.
I'm going with Brady.
Wow.
Yeah, I like the Brady play.
You like the
Yep, I like it.
respect. Biases.
Brady's one of those guys. Brady's one of those guys, again, like we talked about earlier. There are just certain guys in the hobby that no matter what it is, sell. Field level's a parallel. I like the cheap play with SGC. Yeah, this is real, right? You could go to the show and buy this card for $15, go home, send it in SGC, wait 3 weeks, and get $100. Ask Jason, right? The producer. This is what Jason's been doing, going to shows, grinding out these deals like this, sending them to SGC, getting them back in 2 weeks and flipping them. And I think it's real. This to me is the play.
That's interesting. I was going to say that the play was going to be my man that's sitting on the 2 cards and cash. So that's where my head's at. But now I got to decide between these two. And I'm going to say, what do you say? Make a play.
Brady and DeGrom.
I have to choose between those?
I mean, or you could pick a different one and we could do a poll, I guess.
Yeah, you could just Ty. If you pick the other one, we can do a poll on IG.
Pick your play of the week.
My play of the week is my man who grinded it out. Go back 1 slide to the left.
Okay.
Yeah, like a lot of action. Stephon Pitts.
Stephon,
Steven. I hope it's Stephen.
It's probably Steve.
I'm pretty sure it's Steven.
Yeah, it's just straight Steve. But yeah, is it Ty goes to the runner, aka Jay has to do his job, and he's complaining about having to do his job. And let's get a poll out on Twitter. 24-hour poll for the 3 of them.
You got to do extra work. It's a poll on Twitter, Jay.
You can put it on IG in the story. You could do
You can only do 2 with that, though.
No, you can do a 3. You can do which one? You can do a multiple choice.
Oh, the little pie chart.
It's the deal. 24 hours. If you've listened this far,
IG and Twitter, Jay.
We appreciate you.
Tomorrow, it should go out tomorrow night. Is when it should go out.
It can go anywhere. This episode drops tomorrow morning. Any comments across Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube in the comment section, because that's where we like to hang out and have fun, can constitute as a vote. And
we can announce it Thursday.
Yeah, we'll probably start giving away some stuff to people that vote. So we've got a 3-way tie. You know what happens in 3-way ties?
We will hopefully announce a winner here later this week, but that is all we've got for Play of the Week. Again, Play of the Week is brought to you by eBay, your number one stop for all things cards and collectibles. All right, so wrapping it up, this week's releases, we got a couple big ones this week. Y'all ready for this?
Ready!
Optic Basketball comes out Friday.
Optic Basketball
comes out
I think
Friday.
I'm buying Josh Giddey rookies like crazy.
Who?
Josh Giddey.
Definitely has nothing to do with the fact that he was on 1:37 p.m.
Yeah, I interviewed him yesterday. He was great.
Yeah.
Former Fortnite player.
Former?
Yeah, he gave up the game. Now he just plays in the park and then NBA 2K all the time.
All right, so we have Optic Basketball, we have Star Wars Chrome Galaxy, Pro Debut Baseball, Prism Quick Pitch Baseball, and Panini Certified Football. Certified Football,
Can we
personal favorite of mine.
Quick Pitch Baseball feels like something this new Fanatics company would put out in overprint.
What's wrong with Prism Quick Pitch Baseball?
Feels like something this new company would come out with an overprint. It's so true.
What was the last one that you were pumped about?
Certified Football.
That's a big one.
That'll be good.
That's a fun one. Lots of numbered rookies, inserts. So
when do we do our
Can we pause?
when do we do our prediction show?
Next week.
When the season starts. But real quick, guys, I think Matt is like gone.
We got to take that screen. I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
Which screen? What's going on?
Are we pausing? All right, we're paused. Pause.
I mean, the make a play screen. There he goes.
Jay, it's like you're talking about it like it's like the world's coming down. It's just play of the week on the screen. Okay.
I mean, shout out to Jay for throwing us for a loop.
Yeah, that's all right. All right, keep going.
We were giving the guy a little extra social love.
All right, so Certified Football. Big play. Rookies, inserts, numbered, patch autos.
That's what the certified thing is, right? Patch autos.
Yeah, you get typically one patch auto per box. So it should be a fun product.
Okay, that's fair, Jay.
Optic Basketball, though, I think will probably be the big one this week, right? That's a top 5 like staple. You know, you got the Prism, Select, Optic. Those are the big core basketball releases. So it'll be good to have one of those.
I think I want to rip one.
They're expensive, bro. Optic is so expensive.
I know.
I saw a box of Optic football from last year that I think was like $1,200.
I think they're about $1,000 right now, if I'm not mistaken.
When I was in at Hofstra, they were $1,200 because me and my dad were gonna buy a box to rip, and I was like, I'm not spending $600 for half a box.
All right. Next week, I'll update you guys, hopefully from Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And
NFL predictions next week.
Next weekend, college football starts.
Is that this weekend?
Ohio State plays. I think it's next weekend. Ohio State plays Minnesota Thursday next week.
I think there's games this weekend. This weekend's a good gambling weekend of college football.
The next weekend, like Labor Day weekend, has like Georgia, Clemson. There's some big games next weekend.
Yeah, stuff is crazy. There's supposed to be this announcement today where the ACC, Pac-12, and Big Ten are like become one conference or something.
Bunch of super conferences.
Penn State opens up with Wisco on the 4th Labor Day weekend.
That's an
and then our third week we're Auburn at home, white out.
Oh, also, before we're going to close out the show real quick, but I'm going to get it in before we close out. I'm a Georgia fan now. I am officially changing to Georgia. The end.
JT Daniels?
My sister goes to Georgia now. We're a Georgia family, and that's
fair.
Okay.
Fair.
All right.
How do you feel about the Buckeyes this season, Rye?
Go Dogs.
I knew that was coming. How do you feel about how do you feel, Rye?
Best wide receiver core in the country.
Is Olave back? No, right?
Yeah. Olave and Garrett Wilson.
Dude.
Best two receivers, best tandem in the country. Then you've had the number one. What?
Who was the second receiver?
Garrett Wilson.
Good.
Last 2 years had the number 1 receiver in the class, and Garrett Wilson 3 years ago was the number 2 receiver in the class. Dope. Brian Hartline's producing some dogs. Got the number 1 defensive end in the country and the number 2 defensive end in the country. I got the number 1 running back in the country this year. We're fired up, man.
First off, our running back stable is better than yours, but Brian Hartline was a dog.
A dog.
When he played. He was a monster.
He's a dog, and he's back coaching dogs.
But
like
our
Georgia
running back stable is
Bulldogs.
better
I'm
than
not
yours.
sure the same kind of dogs.
Exactly.
Go Dogs.
I agree. We'll end it on that.
See you guys.
Peace.